the storm. Rise on the storm.
Before we get into the content of this series, I think an introduction is definitely in order so that you guys know that you're dealing with a professional and expert player. As you read here, I was born and raised in Austin, Texas, and have dual U.S.-Australian citizenship. And I've been living in Berlin, Germany for about the past 8 years or so. As such, I speak English, German, and Spanish, and you guys should feel free to send any of your questions or comments in any of those three languages, either to this video or any of the other videos that we'll produce in the near future. As you guys see, I grew up playing all forms of poker, and that includes the quote-unquote old-school variants such as 5-card draw, 5-card stud, triple stud, all variants. That means Raz or low ball, high-low split, or stud 8, as it's commonly referred to online today, stud high, and of course an Omaha, Omaha 8, and again multiple other variants that you won't even find online today. So yeah, I'm coming from a background of these games, and it was way before the Texas Holdem boom in 2000. Of course, I really enjoy and actually prefer the Texas Holdem game because it is the biggest online market without a doubt today. So you can have the greatest number of players there and definitely the most amount of action. Yeah, and as you guys see here, I've played in brick and mortar casinos and card rooms on 4 continents. That means throughout the Americas, North, Central, and South, primarily South Australia, and then throughout Europe, especially in Spain and Germany. And yeah, that's kind of my live background, including, of course, numerous house games, and underground play from time to time, at various venues. Concerning online play, I've probably only seen around, it might even be up to 1 million hands now in both cash and tournament play, but to be safe, I'll put 800,000 here, more or less. And I was kind of a late bloomer, so to say, in the online environment. I didn't start playing online until 2009. The reason for that was, I'm well aware of how mechanics function, and that, for those of you who don't know the term, that just means a card sharp, right? Not a card sharp, but a card sharp, or a cheat. And I was just really hesitant to get into the online environment because there you, of course, don't even see the decks. And the reason that I changed my mind then was because I met a guy in Berlin, matter of fact, who was a professional online player, and he let me shadow him a couple times. And I was super impressed, and the most important thing for me at that point was how he explained it to me that online card rooms it's absolutely in their interest to maintain a very clean game. That means a game that's played straight up, no cheating, no colluding. It's absolutely not in their interest to have any security breaches. It's completely in their interest that you have the cleanest game, because they're going to be making money from the rake endlessly and all the time. So if one of you guys are seeing this video out there and you're thinking, I'm never going to play online because of, collusion, who knows, manipulation. And of course, there are hacks out there. Everything else is possible. But again, it's not, as I had once assumed, I would say, any more or less dangerous than playing in a live environment. And when you're playing online, you simply have a hell of a lot of advantages. That means you've got almost endless opponents. You can run multiple tables. You can play this really fantastic storm poker here at mybet.com, which is a lot of fun. And we'll get into that here shortly. But keep this in mind, guys. Never play beyond your means financially. Always keep it such that, you're playing with disposable income, something that won't hurt too bad. And you should do that if you're playing either online or live. That's a very key and crucial principle. So that's a little bit to my background. Again, I've studied the game in great detail, like I did chess and Go, probably around 800,000 to 1 million hands at this point. And all this information and experience I would like to share with you guys here in the coming videos. Storm Poker at mybet.com is one hell of a wave. So let's paddle out together, enjoy the ride, win or lose. So when you sign up at mybet.com, you make your first deposit, you're actually going to get a bonus, sign-on bonus, which is also something you don't normally get at live casinos. So you make your initial deposit, and you're going to have a 200% bonus that you can clear with your play of up to 1,000 US. So that's activated once you make your first transfer, as you guys read here. In addition, you get a sign-on free roll, which is a tournament that's for free with a total prize pool of 500 US. And of course, at MyBet, you've got this really good VIP system. I won't go into the details here because the link is provided for you. Definitely check that out when you get a chance. There's a lot of perks for higher volume players for sure. 4 simple levels, 1 great value. Again, the cash rewards and the tournament tokens, and as is always the case with good VIP systems, the more you play, the more you get. So, what is Storm Poker? Well, instead of the typical ring game, where you often have to wait ages between playable hands, Storm Poker brings the action to you. What I'll do in order to spice this up a little bit is go ahead and bring in a single table of the Storm Poker, so that you can get a kind of a taste for it before we get into our active real-time sessions. But as a general overview, we've got here, you don't sit in the actual single table in Storm Poker. What actually happens is that you're put into an entire pool of players, and then you're immediately sent to a new table when you either fold or take down the pot. Really, really clever concept, and there are multiple benefits to this format. One of which I've highlighted is that it's probably the fastest way to clear bonuses. You're simply going to see at least 2 to 3 times as many hands per table. The other good thing is too, if you're like me and you don't necessarily like to have 15 small tables, right, sized on one of your big screens, you can actually run the Storm Poker variant, have a very large table view, and maybe run only 4 tables and have the same amount of hands per hour. Really, really, really clever concept that mybet.com has here. A couple of the disadvantages also, just to be honest, is that you're not going to be able to build up history necessarily with a lot of players. You're sometimes in a pool of 100 plus players and being thrown like a feather in the wind back and forth from storm table to storm table. And it may also be the case that your statistics program isn't fast enough for the swings there for when you get switched to a new table. So player-specific play definitely takes a hit. Your stats, I would say, as we'll get there in a moment, but what I would recommend is then after each session that you go then maybe to Holdem Manager, whatever you're using, check out your big hands, make some notes on your players like that, and kind of do a little post-session work to really get to know the players that you're going to actively see at any given level. And finally here, I've got the pace is intense, so enjoy. And with that, guys, I think I'll jump into a storm table just to, again, show you what it looks like, go over a couple of the features, and give you a taste of this very, very intense play. The speed fold right here is basically what you can click as opposed to a ring game. When I click the speed fold right here, I am thrown into a completely new table, and now all these different players kind of fly in, so to say, and off we go again. And I can speed fold this right now and be thrown into another table as well. So it's really, really quick depending on how you play. You can also just click the normal fold button, whatever. You've got all the normal options plus the speed fold, which then launches you again into another table. This time, we're going to go into the details later, guys. I'm just going to basically re-steal here with my pair of 7s. It's a 3-bet re-steal. It makes an open raise on the button, which is going to be a wider range a lot of times. And we re-steal with a much wider range because of that. And take down that pot uncontested. That's the screen name that we'll be using from here on out. And again, it will be primarily NL20 play until we can move up according to bankroll management. And here I'm just going to flat one, 5.5 to 1 odds. And we whiff hard. We're going to check it and see what Pilot girl says she likes it, and we'll let it go. Speed fold. You see, as we move forward, we just jump right to that next table. Ace 2. I'm not going to play that. I speed fold it. Jump to another table. 37. Big speed fold. And what I'm going to do now, guys, is kind of keep it shut and just show you how quickly you can actually play this. And always at the Storm tables we've got, unfortunately, re-raise 6 max format, right? So it's different than maybe those of you who are familiar with or are used to full ring play with 7 or more players. This format is always in the 6 max table size, and off we go. Yeah, as long as you're outside the blinds, the speed fold button is really, really brilliant. And also, I've got this set up such that we'll always be capped back up to 100 big blinds. So on this and all future tables and all future videos, we'll be playing a so-called big stack strategy, where you buy in for the maximum allowed per table, which is 100 big blinds. And in this case, at the NL20 level, it's $20 exactly. We get 2 flats. And we're looking for the miracle flop here, out of position. Oh, swing and a miss. And I'm going to go ahead and see about that even versus 2 players. Represent H-Jack, something like that, better pair. They'll have missed it a lot too. We c-bet it and get flatted. Now I'm going to double barrel this with the blocker, kind of weak flush draw. See if he can't let it go on a double barrel, and he does. We take it down uncontested. That's keeping your aggression up, guys, when you have initiative, even out of position. Alright, and off we go with the folds. Another thing, guys, never check this check fold button. Maybe the check, but even then I wouldn't do that, because a lot of these guys in this format, they'll just min raise, knowing that a lot of guys are going to have this button checked. So don't just click that. It kind of gives your hand away, and you'll be auto folded if you click the check fold to any min raise that these guys might be making with any 2 cards as a steal. Oh, Cowboys. I should also show you guys the bet sizing. That 3x means 3 times the big blind. That doesn't mean raising 260, rather raising 60 itself. So raising 280. Here again, 3/4 pot, half pot, full pot bets. And here on the rainbow board, I'm just going to half pot it. Hope that he has a queen. We get flatted. And now we don't want to fool around. If he is on the 89, if he's on the 89, he's now completed. We think our kings are still good. We take another shot. And take it down. Like the doors in the background as we're riding on the storm. Middle position raise, we'll let that go. And let's go ahead and look for a last wave here, a last hand, to get back into the theoretical portion of this video. With this, I think you guys have a good feeling for what Storm Poker is, how fast it can be, especially when you're playing multiple tables. Raise this one up wide from mid position from time to time, and let's see if we get our 67 offsuit through here. Good result. Yeah, and again, we're looking for that last wave here to get out, and until then, let's speed fold it until we catch something worth getting into. And again, guys, don't click that check fold here. I'll 3-exit here. Suited A6. It's again, not a good hand, but raisable. And we take it down uncontested. And again, a lot of these guys might well be clicking that, check fold button. In which case, you're going to take down a lot of pots just by min raising or 3-xing, which is, not necessarily the case in a typical ring game environment where you also have a lot of history with your players. All right, the old 10-9, and here, watch. We'll just min raise this. Okay, so I was going to try and make an example of this guy, but he also didn't have the button checked, so we half potted here after our min raise and take it down. Yeah, unfortunately he didn't have the button check that we were looking for. But yeah, okay, good old 44. Let's make this the last hand and raise this up, see if we can't flop a set in our very first video. Oh, re-raise, big time. So it's $1.20, right, for us to call, and essentially, yeah, 2.5, 2-to-1 odds. Let's call it just to be safe. And the idea is that I'm calling the 120. If I've got 10 times that, right, I can make that call for set value. However, he was short stacked, so I didn't have the implied odds to make that call for set mining, so to say, which we'll get into here shortly. But yeah, popped it again. How about that? Alright, and this time, right, same call, but this guy is now big stacked. So I do have the odds for set money here. I'm looking for the 8. Alright, big swing and a miss. I can donk that out, represent the ace here. But that's a relatively big 3-bet given this level, and yeah, I think we're probably behind most of this, and he shoved, so we ended up saving that cash. So no dice on the set mining so far. So we'll keep... Oh! Just told you guys not to check that. So he limps, and we're just going to raise that up as a pure bluff. Get flatted, c-bet it. Half pot. When we half pot, he only has to fold one time in 3 for us to break even. Get flatted here, there comes the ace, and I could double barrel, but again, once these guys at the low stakes already make the flat call on the flop, they're mentally connected to this pot here, to this hand, and it's unlikely they're gonna let it go. So, you know, we got the inside straight draw to the 3, and we can pretty much just write that one off. Alright, 57, speed folds, here we go. King 4. Alright guys, ace queen. And for those of you who have been paying attention, this is the longest version in the history of music of Riders on the Storm. We got a little loop action going on here. Oh, no play on the ace queen. And again, yeah, I'm looking for a good final wave here. We might cut a little bit of this out, but yeah, so far no dies. Just normally I would have, you know, waited for that to get around to me so I could steel raise it on the button, but yeah, I'm trying to get into an exciting hand here. 87 suited. All right, why not? Good speculative hand. 3 exit from the hijack. Alright, 55. There's the min raise from the cutoff. And here I'm just going to 3-bet it. Act like I'm on a proper hand. And let's go ahead and 3-time him in a bit. We get flatted with, but he can be on overcards quite a lot here, so we'll definitely take a shot here as a c-bet on the flop and take it down. So as you saw, guys, we'll be playing at the low and the middle stakes. It is a 6-max format, cash game tables primarily, although we will definitely be throwing in some tournaments from time to time. Actually, in the 4th video, we're going to do a simultaneous tournament session with cash games, Storm Poker cash games running on the side. Very, very good way to increase total hands that you're playing, maximize your time, and hopefully your returns as well at any given session. And what we've got here is an initial bankroll of 1,000 US. So that's very important, guys. That's going to determine the level of the stakes that we can play at. And again, no limit Texas Hold'em will be the primary game. I'll be using the big stack strategy that I just mentioned, basically buying in for 100 big blinds and playing with full stacks. We'll just keep that very simple. I won't go into mid stack and short stack play because it's a very complicated topic and there's a lot of coaching that is required for all that. So we'll just keep it simple, play a typical big stack strategy, 6 max, and yeah, that's going to be the primary approach at this point. Again, we'll begin at NL no limit 20 and move up or down the limits in accordance with our bankroll management calculator, and that I'll show you guys right now. And again, here I've got, be aware of the short stacks, the mid stacks, or the hybrid players. Short stackers and mid stackers, then just know that they're going to be able to push. If they're short stack pros and not just short stack fish, they'll be pushing against you with a much tighter range, and very often pre-flops. So you just got to be ready for that, kind of know the ranges that they're on. And I've made some other videos where you guys can check that out. But yeah, the hybrid guys are going to be buying in for 30, 40 big blinds, and then looking to make moves, especially on the flop and turn as a shove. So here's our bankroll management calculator. This is something that I've put together for my own play, both online and live. And the first thing that I want to draw your attention to is this session loss limit. This means essentially if we drop during the sessions in the future when we're just playing real time, if I end up dropping 400 big blinds, or basically when we're playing NL20, $80, then I'm going to pull the plug for that session. Take a break, come back later. But this is very important concerning tilts, concerning also bad runs. Basically, this loss limit is crucial for any solid player. And we of course here at MyBet want you guys all to be solid players, and that's the reason we're also producing these videos. If you're playing the fixed limit environment, I would say if you drop 50 big bets or more in any given session, it's also time to walk away. And just keep that at the very forefront, guys. Very, very important. On the flip side, if let's say you run well and you increase maybe 3 buy-ins, right? You go up $60, 300, basically 300, big blinds, so to say, at the NL20 level that we'll be playing initially. Then you also want to go ahead and not, go on a bad run and then drop all 300 big blinds after the fact. You want to go ahead and increase your loss limit maybe to 200 in the green, right? 200 plus, and then stop the session there as a winner. So that means you increase your stack up to 300 big blinds, right? You're running well. Now your session stop loss or loss limit is then at 200. And these are different rules that you guys should set for your own gaming plan. Very, very important, very crucial, and even more so is in adhering to very strict bankroll management, risk capital management. You'll hear it in different ways, but it's basically money management, risk management, and allotting your capital such that you're able to buy in multiple times. So what we've got here is our entire bankroll of 1,000 US that we're going to start with here at mybet.com. And as you guys see here, these are the different strategies and the different games. So the SSS means short stack strategy, BSS means big stack strategy, and we'll be playing the 6 max tables, basically 4 to 6 players. And what we want to have is essentially 50 buy-ins in our entire allotted risk capital. So we're going to be playing the big stack strategy. We're going to buy in at every single table for the maximum, which is 100 big blinds. And we're going to have 50, we want to have 50 times that in our entire allotted capital or bankroll. Very good. Where can we then play? Well, these are the different levels. No limit 5, 10, 20. You guys can come up here and change that yourselves. You can also make this even 35, whatever. And as we see here, already at NL20, we're right in the yellow, but it's definitely playable. NL50 would then be in the red because we would only have 20 buy-ins at that point. So this is where we're going to start here, and we're going to move up and down the limits as our bankroll dictates. What does this 1,000 US then mean for us concerning the tournaments that we'll definitely play from time to time? It's down here, and sit and goes, double or nothings, MTTs, both freeze out, and rebuy and add-on. This is probably where we're going to be from time to time. We may get into some sit and go play, some dawns, but we'll see how that works out here in the future. But for now, we'll definitely run an MTT or two from time to time, and then play simultaneous Storm cash games. And right now, that's going to be essentially with 75 buy-ins and 150 respectively for freeze-outs and rebuy add-ons. That's going to put us right here at the NL, 11 buy-in. We could go up to the 22, but that's already a bit high. Maybe 15, probably the highest I'd want to go in a freeze-out scenario. So that's how that looks, guys. Over here, I've got basically the US, Euro, US pound exchange rates on the date of our video here. And yeah, we'll update that as we move forward in case we're playing on tables that aren't US dollars. So again, yeah, this is all automated here. The grand, if you change this up here, it'll change it also for your Omaha game and also for your fixed limit games that I've got underneath. And that's as follows. So if you're playing the fixed limit environment, with 1,000 here, you want to be playing no higher in most game types. That means full ring, shorthanded, Texas Holdem, Omaha, maybe a bit more here. But yeah, 7 stud, 5 card draw, 5 card stud in a limit format. You don't want to be playing much above 2-4. You could go 3-6, but again, guys, you're already here at total big bets, not big blinds, but big bets of 170-ish. And yeah, that's how that looks, guys. The reason for this, you may be asking, why all the emphasis on this bankroll management? Who cares? I just want to get in and play some cards, whatever. The reason is that unlike chess or Go, poker is a game of imperfect information. And it's also based highly on probabilities, which means you can theoretically play perfectly in poker and still lose in the short term. That is very much possible. As many of you know, poker is both a game of skill and a game of luck. And the luck factor can make or break you in the short term. So you have to use a few means to protect yourself against that. And in this case, the best way to do so is really to play with this session loss limit and always adhering to bankroll management. Basically setting up your entire bankroll such that you have multiple buy-ins for any given level that you're playing. And for those of you who don't believe me or don't quite believe that that's important, maybe because your skills are so good, whatever, then I've got one very concrete example to kind of bring this point home. So let's say here underneath we've got this gambler wager that I've set up for you guys. Why use bankroll management is the question. The answer is variance. And in layman's terms, that means the mathematical certainty that shit can and most definitely will happen, both at the poker tables and in life. So yeah, if you want the real math definition of variance, and then check that out. It's a square root of blah 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 blah. Don't even worry about it. What it basically means is essentially you're going to lose hands when you're a big favorite, and you're going to win hands when you're a big dog or underdog. And that's just how poker is. And the reason is, of course, because of the math. Okay, and that has to do with equity matchups. Essentially, the probability that you're going to win, tie, or lose versus both your opponent's specific hand, right? And when you don't know that specific hand, then of course versus his entire range of hands that he would play that way in that position. So what I've got here, guys, is an example where a gambler walks up to you and says, you're the hero always in online poker terms. Hero means the player from your perspective. So the gambler walks up to you and says, hey, look here, Dylan, I'm going to give you 2 jacks in a Texas Hold'em environment. You're going to deal me then a random hand, so you're just going to give me any 2, but we have to play for our entire bankroll. That means that you have to put 1,000 US on the line right now, and so do I, and we're just going to play one hand, and that's it. And of course, it's a really good bet for me, right? I've got jacks, and I know that my equity versus a random hand, as you guys see here, is over 77%. So I'm going to win over 3 times in 4, which is really, really good. So it's definitely a good bet, but if that's my entire bankroll, right, then I'm basically betting the farm on something where I'm not in a lock situation. I don't have a 100% win probability here. I'm namely going to lose 22.5% of the time as we approach infinity. So where did I get these numbers? It's from a program called Poker Stove, and you guys can check that out at your leisure. Basically, what you do is just enter your hand. You can hit random here, or you can give your opponent an entire range of hands. Let's just, for example, say any pair and any Broadway at 18% of all of the Texas Hold'em hands. And then I hit evaluate again versus my jacks, and that changes things markedly, but I'm still a 65% favorite against that entire range. And again, versus that random hand, there you go, right at, yeah, exactly what we have here, and this is the entire breakdown of that. So that's where this comes from, and really, really useful tool, guys. Definitely check that out when you get a chance. Now, what we've got here is, how much am I going to win? Well, I'm going to win 77%, 77.47%, whatever, times the entire pot, which is 2K-ish, you know, plus minus ties and stuff, and that comes out to about 1.5K. Very good. How much am I going to lose? Approaching infinity, I'm going to lose 444. Fantastic. What is the chance of me going broke when I make that bet one time? Well, 22.53% precisely, right? Which is here the equity of my opponent with the random hand versus my jacks. So I'm going to go broke one time in 4, more or less. A little more than that, and a little less than that actually. But that's pretty sick, right? So even with that great advantage, at 77% advantage, and you can't really ask for much better in most situations in Texas Hold'em. And yeah, even with that equity advantage, I will go broke more or less one time in 4, mathematically, when approaching infinity. However, what if I say to that gambler, hey, great offer, I'll be glad to take you up on that bet. However, we're not going to play for 1,000 US one time. We're going to play for 100 US 10 times. So we're going to play for the exact amount of money, but we're just going to run it 10 times. Okay, I'm going to hide my jacks, you're going to get 2 random cards, and we're going to play for $100 a pop 10 times in a row. Well, what's my equity there? Exactly the same. Win chance exactly the same, tie chance exactly the same, the amount that I'm going to win and lose exactly the same. The only thing that's different, guys, the only thing that's different is the probability of me going broke. And I'm going to go broke in the first case where we play it one time, basically one time in 4. I'm going to go broke here in the latter when we do exactly the same matchup 10 times in a row for a tenth of the bet. The odds against me going broke are 3,423,846.5 to 1. I.e., almost never will I go broke playing exactly that same hand versus a random 10 times in a row for the same amount of money. Not one time, but just 10 times back to back. And as you guys see here too, it's also 12.4 to 1 against that the guy with the random hand is going to go broke. So that means in those 10 hands, he's going to catch a few too. So that's just how that works out, guys, and that's why you should always adhere to bankroll management. And I got just one point down here. In which scenario would you be willing to bet the farm? If your answer is definitely the latter, then you're well on your way to becoming more of a player, a poker player, rather than a gambler. And that's what we want you. That's where we want you guys to be. Always playing with a clear mind, always playing within your means, and moving up and down the limits as you should, always in accordance with bankroll management. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was about all that we wanted to share with you in this initial video of the Riders of the Storm series. Again, my name is Dylan for mybet.com, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys here in the coming videos, where we'll go over the theoretical background initially, run one session with one table to kind of get started slowly. As you guys see here, the title of the second video is that the swell's building and we're going to paddle out together. That's very akin to teaching somebody how to surf. You wouldn't exactly throw them into a 3 or 4 meter reef break with a shortboard on their first day out. So in the same way, in the poker environment, we're gonna have a very similar approach, right? We're gonna give you guys the theoretical overview of the 6-max game as such. We'll look at some ranges, typical ranges per position, moves, betting moves, and lines of play that you can definitely and should definitely make, as well as a few general tips and tricks for both your online and offline game. I think all that's going to be a really, really good foundation, even for some very advanced players, for the coming videos. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at any time. Yeah, again, guys, this is Dylan for mybet.com. Wishing you all the best in general, and definitely all the best at your next Storm Poker table.